Good evening and welcome to Joakim Brodén, the vocalist and co-founder of Swedish metal band Sabaton.
Hello, everyone.
Massive thanks for taking time out on tour to have a chat with us guys here at Metal Planet Music.
Pleasure's mine.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you're closing in on your 25th anniversary, 25 years of metal coming out of Falun, Sweden.
Yeah, it makes me feel old.
For sure. I mean, your hometown, your home city, renowned for its once famous copper mine.
Yeah, metal is in our blood there, you know.
It's quite literally, you know. It's been quite some journey you and Pa and the rest of the members of Sabaton have been on in this quarter century.
Wow, quarter of a century. That makes me feel even older.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, it has been, and I have surprisingly few regrets.
Absolutely. I mean, what a wonderful way. I mean, we covered you guys last year at Cardiff. We'll come on to that later in the conversation. And you mentioned how when you first came to Wales, you played at a club in Newport called TJ's.
Yes.
You know, it's like 20 odd people. And that's reflected in this forthcoming cinematic release of last year's tour.
I wouldn't say that, no.
You introduced by saying, you know, the first time you went to Amsterdam 6 years after forming, you played to an intimate audience, shall we say, full of close friends and fans. Only now, last year, you played to 16,000 close friends and fans.
Yes. Family's getting bigger.
That's it. And this is the sense of it all. And the video, we've had the very fortunate experience of seeing it pre-screening, pre-release. And it just blows your mind, the scale of it all.
Yeah, it's a big production. And I mean, in a sense, being in that arena, it's a modern arena, and there is space to put all of those cranes and have all of this equipment, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go into all of the details, but everything from, well, power to connectivity to, space and all of that. It's a lot that goes into a recording of this scale.
Yeah, and you've got the logistics of bringing that production. I think that's an important word. It's not just the music. There's a show, a performance around the music, in amongst the music. And just, you know, it's not every band that rocks up with a tank for a drum riser.
No, it's not. But it's for us, it suits us, you know, in a way. What should we bring on stage? Well, a tank. It makes sense.
It's the very essence of who you are as a band and, you know, 5 individuals, I believe, you know.
Yeah. It's also, we traditionally, not always, but traditionally, we kicked off the show with the song Ghost Division, which is about Rommel's 7th Division. So it does make sense in some ways.
Absolutely. I think, you know, your portrayal of war, the suffering on both sides of any conflict, is very important.
Yeah, well, I think there are enough bands singing, making up new shit, you know, and nothing very bad about that. But
no, for sure,
there are enough bands singing about beer and you know, other stuff. And I genuinely think that there are so many fantastic stories in our past that are being forgotten. So why should we make up new ones?
You know? Absolutely. I mean, the last 2 albums, the War to End All Wars and the Great War, obviously it cover those 4 years between 1914 and 1918. And it's without these sort of things, today's generation won't have that connection.
No, I mean, lately it's been better, actually. You've seen more in, what do you call it, public media and the public eye on World War I.
Yeah.
Movies coming out 1917 and other stuff. So it has gotten better. But compared to World War II, in, you know, the amount of documentaries produced or movies, whatever it is, World War I was, well, seriously underrepresented, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And it's a sense of portraying the scale of how much land and area was affected in the whole immensity of it.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a brutal war, because this is when exactly the transition period versus, I would say, almost Napoleonic era tactics, and the industrialization, and the big meat grinder comes in with artillery, the way it's used, and the modernization. The tanks are appearing on the battlefield.
Yeah,
airplanes.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's a very, very new technology at that time as well.
And the poison chemicals. You've got a couple of songs there. I can't remember. There's what Father, I believe it was called.
Yeah, an Attack of the Dead Man.
Yeah, and them coupled together were really striking.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think we're seeing there in the history. It's like that's the invention of modern warfare as we know it. I think.
Yeah, and it's a pivotal moment. It's just over 100 years ago, and all that stuff is happening and starting to snowball in effect.
Oh
yeah, and we're just glad in a way that people like yourselves have taken the time and energy to be able to encompass it and say, look, this is how it was.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not taking the time or the energy. We're genuinely interested in it. I mean, it's not like I feel like I'm doing homework.
Okay, really, sure, yeah.
Researching an album. I mean, it's important to point out, though, that we are amateurs, but we're very passionate amateurs. And yes, I would say with that we know more about history, especially military history, than the average Joe on the street. However, we are amateurs, but it is our passion. And I mean, I'm not sitting down to watch a historical documentary just because I'm doing research for an album. I do that several times a week because it's an interest of mine.
Yeah, and it comes across in waves. And we'll go back to what we were saying earlier on about the performance in Cardiff. It was my wife and I, we covered you, photographer and journalist. It was such an immersive event. I use that word. It wasn't just a gig, it was an event.
Yeah, we tried to do that. I mean, that's the kind of things you dreamed about when you were a kid. Those were the cool shows you saw. The artists that did something more than just go up and play their songs. And I mean, it depends on the artist. For some artists, that is right. So I'm not slagging artists who are just playing the music. But our style of music lends itself, I mean, so easily into that. So we figured, why not? Whenever we can. Absolutely. I mean, obviously we're not able to do 16,000 people everywhere in the world, and then we can't bring that big production.
Yeah.
Like now we're supporting Judas Priest, and we're in Milwaukee today, and we did manage to fit the tank on the stage, but that's about it.
Brilliant. I mean, the logistics of that is mind-boggling in itself, and we just loved our introduction to you guys last year, and the professionalism around you in your team. It comes off the stage into your tour manager, briefings to the photographers. It's the whole thing. It's just like you're in the bubble with you guys.
Well, thank you. Makes me really happy to hear, because I think it's quite important that we have good people around us, no matter if it's the band member or the press briefing or whatever it is. In many ways, I think everybody's a winner if everybody has a easy and fun time. And I mean, when it comes to taking pictures and being able to use more songs, if a photographer is being briefed on this song in this part, something cool is going to happen.
Yeah,
that photographer has the opportunity to get a better pictures from that show. So those pictures have a higher chance of being shared on social media or being published. And they would then make us look better. So everybody's a winner.
Yeah.
So I don't see why every band doesn't do this.
It's a very important point. It's about presentation. you put good presentation, or allow that presentation to be captured. And this film coming out in the cinemas Friday, the 11th of October, is that pretty much worldwide?
Yes, it's almost. We're looking at it now, and I cannot believe. I thought it would be something like 200 or 300 cinemas first, but we're looking at, with the US that might release a few days later, a possibility of over 1,000 cinemas showing this all over the world.
That is mind-boggling. And even in your wildest dreams for yourself and Pa, back in '99, you couldn't have imagined this, surely.
No. We couldn't imagine being in Milwaukee supporting Judas Priest, because we were sitting in our hometown drinking beer, listening to Judas Priest Painkiller, and thinking, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we could play on Wacken one day?
And
let alone headline it on 2 stages later.
Yeah.
You know?
How's it going out there in the States with the Priest?
Good. Super nice. I fell asleep early yesterday, but Hannes and Chris and Per went out with some of the Priest guys for a few beers. So it's a friendly atmosphere, and we're being treated very well. So
yeah, you've got
all good on our side.
Excellent, and you've got a good number of dates stretching into the later stages of autumn with them across America, haven't you?
Yeah, we came a week ago. I think we got almost 6 weeks left here. So.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So that's going to be coast to coast, north to south.
Yeah, I mean, we did East. We were here in April, May with them. We did most of the East Coast at that time.
Yeah.
Not all of it, though. So now we started in the East in Canada, and now we're doing sort of more of Central, Western, and Southern US on this run.
Yeah, there's a lot of place names there I'm not overly familiar with. And certainly...
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
I love it, seeing new places, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, you go back to your going forming in '99, Fallon, and breaking out of Sweden. That must have been a major buzz for you and the band.
Yeah, but it happened so slowly. We never had which is I'm thankful for in a way. We had always had sort of organic growth between albums and touring cycles and everything like that. Very few times have we returned to a venue or a country with fewer people that came last time. It has happened on individual shows, because sometimes you ended up on a very, very bad day, or something else was happening in town. Yeah. But as a general rule, we've had a pretty constant growth, sometimes faster, sometimes slower. But we never went from 200 to, or 500 people to 5,000 people overnight. We took the steps in between, and which is good, I think, because we had time to grow as musicians organically, and entertainers, I guess, and also our crew. We got to hire crew organically, people that fit in with us, not going from 1 tour bus and 5 in the crew to 50 in the crew overnight, because that can cause a lot of trouble.
In itself, yeah, absolutely. People will be coming into the cinemas to watch the film, and I hope they get the sense we have watching the advance of just a sea of smiling faces and people singing the lyrics and just letting the whole evening wash over them and be part of it. That must be incredible for you guys up on stage.
Yeah, I mean, especially on a night like that as well, because Amsterdam has several advantages. I covered, when I spoke about having the space and having the technology and, the right conditions to be able to do this, that arena has it. In the Netherlands, everybody speaks great English. So whatever we do on stage is going to come across and translate well to the crowd.
Sure.
And also, it's like, it wasn't in the beginning of the tour because we might mess up, So we wanted it, have a few shows under our belt later in the tour. So we've gotten some experience in doing this.
It's live music.
And, fine-tune the show and the acting and whatever needed to be done in between. So, I think we're really lucky to having been able to capture that day, because it was really, it wasn't the only highlight of the tour by far, but it was one of the highlights for me.
For sure. And obviously, you tour in the States still. The release of the cinema Friday, October the 11th. And then we're into your 25th anniversary, December this year marks 25 years.
Yes. Quarter of a century, as you said.
Yeah. I mean, what have you guys got planned and up your sleeve? Can you give any sort of...
Actually, we don't have that much planned up our sleeve. We are doing the Sabaton cruise, as we're usually doing, from Stockholm to Estonia, so people can watch the Christmas market in Estonia. I think that would be the sort of celebration, I guess, of that. And well, it's the fact we've been working on a new album for quite some time now, so we're getting closer and closer to rounding that up as well. So there's going to be good and fun announcements coming soon, I think, as soon as we have some solid info to share.
Brilliant. That's exciting news, because, you know, it's, what's it now, 2 years since the war to end all wars.
Yep.
I think we're all clamoring for some new material to add to 10 albums.
I'm tired of the new material already, though.
I mean, I was just going through a few things researching this evening, and I didn't realise you'd done a collaboration with Van Canto a number of years ago.
Oh yeah, true. I didn't think about that. I had forgotten about that almost as well.
I mean, that was like 10, 12 years ago, and I was just like, wow, because we caught those guys in Germany at Rock Arts this summer.
Ah, yes.
And man, they're just that a cappella with the drums.
Yeah, it's amazing, gang. Super nice people, but also what they do, I think it's like, they're criminally underrated.
Definitely. And on that festival was another band you're going to be very familiar with, Nanowar of Steel.
Yes.
Pasadena 94. That track, when we heard it played live, that made us smile from ear to ear.
Yeah, it's I don't know what to call it. It becomes like that was so much fun anyway to record. And when they presented the idea, like, we're gonna steal shit from you guys. Like, sure, whatever, do what you want. Yeah, we're gonna make fun of a lot of things. Like, whatever, do it, you know.
But it's
the amount of Sabaton references in the lyrics and in the music as well was I don't think I could have fit so many in.
No, it's a great parody, but it's done with the utmost respect. They're very clever.
Yeah.
And great guys, great performers. And, and this must, over the course of 25 years, you've influenced so many fellow Swedish and German, Scandinavian bands, European bands. How does that feel?
I don't know. I'm still trying to come to terms with that, because I still see ourselves as, this not so young anymore, but guys from Fallen, and the fact that we've been around long enough or popular enough that we've actually influenced or inspired other people. That
I would suggest.
I never really thought of it, actually.
Yeah, but it's definitely there. I mean, the festivals we've been going to this summer and the countless bands I've wrote has a Sabaton influence, a Sabaton fringe.
Wow. Oh well, maybe. I mean, I met a few over the years that told us we'll be playing with them on festivals or on tours, where they said that they were, listening to us when they were growing up, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm old, man.
Not as old as I am, believe me. And you've got your fellow, is it Falloonians from your hometown, Brothers of Metal?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a sort of your edge, but taking it into a folky sort of metal environment.
Yeah, I don't really see what they do as super Sabaton-like, but there might be an influence, of course.
There's definitely it's sort of like what I would call a fringe, it's not the main body, and they've taken it an influence and put it somewhere else, which is a kind of evolution, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they got the same. Also, the emotional response by listening to the music, it's the adrenaline-inducing vibe, in many ways.
And this is what comes across in wave upon wave, almost tsunami-like in the film that's going to be hitting the cinemas in a couple of weeks' time. It's got to be an exciting chapter for you guys going forward.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because being on a show is such an immersive and social experience as well.
Yeah.
And instead of being on a streaming platform or watching at home, which I don't mind at all, but I think, you know, if you couldn't be there, it's a way for us to show people where we can't bring this production, for them to go to the cinema with other people who are Sabaton fans, maybe have a beer and watch the show with other people around them, instead of sitting at home, you know, alone.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say a massive thanks from my wife Kelly and I for everything at Cardiff last year. Thanks for coming online, taking time out of what is a busy a show day out there in the States to talk to us guys. We're just absolutely privileged, Joakim. Wish you the best for the remainder of the year and into the 25th year.
Thank you very much. Thank you yourself.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers.